My boyfriend proposed without a prenup talk, so I said yes. But what he doesn't know is, I saw the folder on his laptop labeled Divorce Timeline from his buddy who's a lawyer. Garrett and I met at a charity gala 3 years ago. He was charming, successful, and treated me like I was the only person in the room. Within 6 months, he'd moved into my downtown loft, the one I'd bought with money from selling my tech startup at 29. I was 32 when we met. He was 35 and working as a portfolio manager at his family's investment firm. Everything seemed perfect. He'd cook elaborate dinners, surprise me with weekend trips, and talk about our future like it was already written. My friends adored him. My mom called him the one. But something always felt slightly off. He'd get tense whenever I mentioned prenups or combining finances. Once, when my accountant suggested we discuss asset protection before marriage, Garrett changed the subject so smoothly I almost didn't notice. 3 months ago, I came home early from a conference. Garrett's laptop was open on the kitchen counter, still logged in. I wasn't snooping, I just needed to print boarding passes for our trip. That's when I saw it. A folder labeled Divorce Timeline, Confidential. My hands shook as I clicked it open. Inside were documents from his childhood friend Devin, a divorce attorney. But these weren't generic templates. These were strategies. Detailed plans outlining how to maximize settlement money from a higher-earning spouse, how to establish financial dependence, when to file for optimal alimony calculations. There were notes in Garrett's handwriting. Move wedding to month 8 of cohabitation. Quit job month 3 of marriage to establish income disparity. File month 18. My startup had sold for $4. $2 million. After taxes and reinvestment, I had about $2.8 million in liquid assets, plus the loft worth $890,000. Garrett's notes estimated he'd walk away with at least $1.5 million in a settlement. I sat there for an hour, reading everything. How he'd slowly been positioning himself as financially dependent. How he'd convinced me to put both our names on my car lease. How he'd been documenting every gift I gave him as evidence of our shared lifestyle. The worst part? A text thread with Devin discussing my business contacts. They were planning to leverage my network for Garrett's consulting business, then divorce me right after he'd established credibility in the industry. I closed the laptop, made dinner. When Garrett came home, I kissed him like nothing had happened. For the past 3 months, I've been playing the perfect girlfriend while quietly documenting everything. I hired my own attorney, not for a prenup, but for something else entirely. I've been slowly moving my assets into trusts my parents set up years ago, restructuring my business interests, building an airtight case. Last week, Garrett proposed at my favorite restaurant. Down on one knee, tears in his eyes, the whole performance. He'd quit his job 2 days earlier, claiming he wanted to pursue his passion for consulting, but I knew the real reason. I said yes. Watched him beam as he slipped the ring on my finger. That night, he suggested we skip the prenup talk. I don't want anything to come between us, he said. What's yours is ours. I agreed immediately. Let him think he'd won. What Garrett doesn't know is that I've already filed a lawsuit against him and Devin for fraud and conspiracy. My attorney is currently compiling evidence of their scheme to defraud me through a sham marriage. The lawsuit will be served the morning of our wedding rehearsal, in front of his entire family and the colleagues he'd hoped to impress with my connections. Devin's going to lose his law license. Garrett's going to be exposed as a con artist to everyone who matters in his world. And I'm going to make sure every gold digger in this city knows what happens when you try to play me. The wedding's in 3 weeks. He thinks I'm busy planning our honeymoon. I'm actually planning his public humiliation. But something happened this morning that changes everything. I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Inside was a video file. When I opened it, I saw myself sitting at my laptop 3 months ago, reading that divorce timeline folder. Someone had been watching me, recording me. The email had only one line. We need to talk about what happens next. Meet me tonight at Riverside Park, 9 p.m. Come alone, or everyone learns your plan. I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. The video was crystal clear, shot from behind me over my shoulder, showing every document I'd opened, every note I'd read. The timestamp matched perfectly. 3 months ago, 2:47 p.m. Someone had been in my loft, had access to cameras I didn't know existed. My first instinct was to call my attorney, Vivian Chen. No, wait, that name's too common. My attorney, Rochelle Winters. She'd know what to do. But the email's warning echoed in my head. Come alone, or everyone learns your plan. If Garrett found out I knew about his scheme before I could legally nail him, everything would fall apart. He'd destroy evidence. Devin would cover their tracks. 3 months of careful planning would evaporate. I looked at the clock. 4:37 p.m. 4 hours until the meeting. Garrett came home at 5:30, carrying takeout from our favorite Thai place. Thought we could celebrate, he said, kissing my cheek. 3 weeks until we're husband and wife. I smiled and took the bags from him. My hands were steady. 3 months of practice. I love you, he said, wrapping his arms around my waist from behind. I love you too, I replied. The lie tasted like ash. We ate dinner on the couch, watching some mindless cooking show. Garrett kept reaching over to squeeze my hand, looking at me with those soft eyes that had fooled me for so long. Around 8:15, I faked a yawn. I'm exhausted. Think I'll turn in early. Already? He looked disappointed. I thought we could look at honeymoon packages. Tomorrow, I promised. I want to be fresh so we can really focus. He kissed my forehead. Get some rest, baby. I went to the bedroom and changed into dark jeans and a black sweater. At 8:45, I climbed out the bedroom window onto the fire escape, something I hadn't done since I was 23 and sneaking out to meet my ex. The irony wasn't lost on me. Riverside Park was a 15-minute walk from my loft. The October air bit through my sweater as I made my way through the shadows, staying off the main streets. I'd left my phone at home, powered off. Whoever had those cameras might be tracking more than just my laptop. The park was nearly empty. A few joggers, a homeless man sleeping on a bench near the entrance. I headed toward the river walk, where old lampposts cast pools of yellow light every 30 feet. At exactly 9 p.m., a figure emerged from behind a large oak tree. It was a woman, mid-40s maybe. She wore a long coat and had auburn hair pulled back in a tight bun. Something about her face seemed familiar, but I couldn't place it. You came, she said. Her voice was steady, businesslike. Who are you? I demanded. How did you get cameras in my home? My name is Veronica Ashford, and I didn't put cameras in your home. She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. Devin did. The photo showed a small device, no bigger than a button, installed in what looked like the air vent above my kitchen counter. My stomach dropped. Devin's been documenting you for months, Veronica continued. Part of their insurance policy. If you ever tried to back out of the marriage or became suspicious, they'd have evidence to use against you. Evidence of what? Me using my own laptop in my own home? Evidence that you knew about the scheme and proceeded anyway. They'd claim you were the one trying to defraud Garrett, that you discovered his legitimate financial planning with his attorney and decided to set him up for a lawsuit instead. The genius of it made me sick. They'd anticipated my every move. Why are you telling me this? I asked. What do you want? Veronica's expression shifted. For the first time, I saw emotion crack through her businesslike facade. Because Devin isn't just Garrett's friend, she said quietly. He's my ex-husband. And this isn't his first time running the scam. The air left my lungs. 4 years ago, Devin married a woman named Petra. She'd sold her family's import business and had about $3 million in assets. They divorced 18 months later. She ended up in a psychiatric facility, convinced she was losing her mind. Devin walked away with $1.2 million and her entire contact network. Jesus, I whispered. Before Petra, there was Simone. Before Simone, there was Claire. I didn't know about any of them until after our divorce. Devin took half of everything I'd built. A medical supply company I'd started from nothing. He was so careful, so methodical. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. Why not go to the police? I tried. Veronica's voice was bitter. Everything he did was technically legal. Morally bankrupt, but legal. And Devin's smart. He never leaves evidence of the actual conspiracy. Just perfectly legitimate divorce filings with airtight cases for alimony and asset division. So how did you get the video of me? After our divorce, I became obsessed with finding out the truth. I hired investigators. Traced Devin's pattern. When I discovered he was working with Garrett on you, I broke into your loft and installed my own cameras. I needed proof that this was a deliberate pattern, not just bad luck and failed relationships. I should have been angry about the invasion of privacy. But standing there, looking at this woman who'd been destroyed by the same man now trying to destroy me, I felt something else. Recognition. What exactly do you want from me? I asked carefully. Veronica met my eyes. I want to destroy both of them, completely. Not just a lawsuit that Devin can spin or a scandal Garrett can weather. I want them exposed, prosecuted, and ruined. I'm already planning. Your lawsuit won't work, she interrupted. I've seen the counter evidence Devin's prepared. He has emails you sent Garrett about financial planning, text messages about combining assets, voice recordings of conversations where you discussed joint investments, all taken out of context, but devastating in court. My carefully constructed plan was crumbling. Devin's been doing this for over a decade, Veronica continued. He's refined it into an art form. Your attorney might be good, but Devin's better. He'll tie up your lawsuit in motions and depositions for years. Meanwhile, Garrett will file for divorce, and you'll be fighting on two fronts. You'll win eventually, maybe, but it'll cost you everything, financially and emotionally. Then what do you suggest? Veronica smiled. It was not a kind smile. I suggest we give them exactly what they want. Let them think they're winning. Let them get comfortable, make mistakes. And then we hit them with something they never saw coming. Like what? Like evidence of 6 other women. Like proof that Devin's been running this operation systematically. Like connections to identity theft and wire fraud that will interest the FBI. My heart started racing. You have all that? Most of it. But I need your help to get the rest. Devin trusts Garrett. Garrett trusts you. That access is something I don't have anymore. I looked at this woman, this stranger who'd been exactly where I was now, who'd lost everything and spent years planning her revenge. What do I need to do? Veronica pulled a small USB drive from her pocket. First, you need to see everything I have. Then we need to talk about how deep you're willing to go. We met again 2 days later, this time at a coffee shop in a neighborhood neither of us frequented. Veronica had rented a car and parked 3 blocks away. I'd told Garrett I was meeting an old college friend. The USB drive contained 6 folders, each labeled with a woman's name: Claire, Simone, Petra, Veronica, Angela, Catherine. I'd spent the previous night going through everything. Each folder contained the same pattern: a successful woman, a charming man who entered her life, a whirlwind romance, marriage, systematic financial positioning, divorce, devastation. The details varied, but the structure was identical. Devin had been doing this for 13 years. The first was probably Claire, Veronica explained, stirring her coffee. She committed suicide 6 months after the divorce. Her family tried to investigate, but Devin had covered his tracks perfectly. How did you find all of these women? After my divorce, I couldn't let it go. I hired a forensic accountant to trace Devin's finances. Every sudden influx of money corresponded to a divorce settlement. From there, I tracked down the women. Most wouldn't talk to me. They were too traumatized, too ashamed. But 2 agreed to share their stories. Angela and Catherine. They helped me find the others. And Garrett? How long has he been involved? Garrett's the newest addition. Devin brought him in about 4 years ago. Before that, Devin was operating alone, which was riskier. Having a partner meant he could set up more elaborate schemes. Garrett plays the loving fiancé while Devin handles the legal framework. Have they done this to anyone else together? Veronica nodded. Once. A woman named Tessa. She owned a chain of yoga studios. Garrett courted her for 2 years. They were married for 14 months. She ended up selling her entire business to pay the settlement. Where is she now? Managing a yoga studio in Colorado. Working for someone else. The coffee tasted like poison in my mouth. Here's what we need, Veronica said, pulling out a notebook. Devin's computer. He keeps detailed records, everything from initial target research to post-divorce financial tracking. It's his insurance policy, his trophy collection, but it's also the smoking gun. He's not going to just let me access his computer. No, but Garrett might. I leaned forward. How? Devin's having his annual partner retreat next weekend, 3 days at his family's cabin in the mountains. He invites all his close friends and their significant others. Garrett's going, and he mentioned bringing you. Garrett hasn't mentioned any retreat to me, because he's planning to go alone. Says he needs guy time before the wedding. Veronica's expression was knowing. But what if you surprised him? Showed up with wine and that lingerie he loves? The devoted fiancé who just couldn't bear to be apart? Devin would never leave his laptop unprotected around me. He won't have to. I've already got a keylogger installed on his home network. Once you're at the cabin, just get his laptop online for 30 seconds. The keylogger will capture his password. Then I can access his cloud backup remotely. What if he catches me? He won't. Devin's overconfident. He thinks his cabin is secure, that his inner circle is safe. He'll be focused on drinking with his buddies and planning the next mark. You'll just be the clingy fiancé in the background. I thought about Garrett's laptop, the casual way he left it open, the trust, or arrogance, that came from believing I was already under his control. What happens after we get the evidence? Veronica's eyes gleamed. Then we don't go to a civil attorney. We go to the FBI. Wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, racketeering. With 6 victims and documented patterns, we're talking federal charges, real prison time. And the other women? They'd have to testify. Angela and Catherine already agreed. Once we have Devin's records, the others will too. Seeing proof that they weren't alone, that this was a deliberate operation, it'll give them the strength to come forward. When's the retreat? Friday to Sunday. 3 days. And if something goes wrong? If they realize what I'm doing? Veronica reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Then you run. I'll have a car waiting at the base of the mountain. But nothing will go wrong. Devin's biggest weakness is his certainty that he's smarter than everyone else. I thought about Claire, who'd killed herself. About Petra in a psychiatric facility. About all the women whose lives these men had methodically destroyed for money. I'm in, I said. I showed up at the cabin on Friday evening with an overnight bag and Garrett's favorite whiskey. The cabin was massive, more of a mountain lodge than anything rustic. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a private lake. Inside, leather furniture surrounded a stone fireplace that could fit 3 people standing upright. Garrett's face when he opened the door was priceless. Shock, then panic, then a forced smile. Babe, what are you doing here? I missed you, I said, pressing against him. 3 days felt like too long. Behind him, I could see 4 other men sitting around the fireplace. Devin was among them, his expression unreadable. This is really a guy's weekend, Garrett tried. I know, but I brought provisions. I held up the whiskey. And I promise I'll stay out of your way. I just wanted to be close to you. One of the other men, tall with silver hair, laughed. Let her stay, Garrett. My wife pulled the same thing last year. It's sweet. Garrett's jaw tightened, but he stepped aside. Of course. Come in. Devin stood as I entered. Garrett's fiancé. We finally meet properly. Finally, I said, shaking his hand. His grip was firm, testing. I've heard so much about you. Nothing bad, I hope. Only that you're Garrett's oldest friend, and his attorney. He trusts you completely. Something flickered in Devin's eyes. Calculation. Well, any friend of Garrett's is welcome here, he said smoothly. Let me show you to the guest room. The cabin had 6 bedrooms. Devin led me to the smallest one, tucked at the end of a hallway. Bathrooms down the hall, he said. We'll be up late, so don't wait up for Garrett. I won't. Thank you. After he left, I texted Veronica from the burner phone she'd given me. I'm in. Her response came immediately. His office is 2nd floor, northeast corner. Wait until 2 a.m. I unpacked slowly, giving them time to settle back into their evening. Through the walls, I could hear laughter and the clink of glasses. Male bonding over scotch and cigars while they planned their next victim. At midnight, I emerged in silk pajamas and walked to the kitchen for water. The men were still in the living room, sprawled across couches and chairs. Garrett saw me and waved. Can't sleep? He called. Just thirsty. Don't mind me. Devin watched me pour water from the filtered pitcher. His eyes tracked my movements with an intensity that made my skin crawl. Beautiful place you have here, I said to him. Thank you. It's been in my family for generations. Must be nice. Having roots somewhere. It has its advantages. He took a sip of his scotch. Garrett tells me your family doesn't have any property? The question was casual, but I heard the assessment beneath it. My parents divorced when I was young. Everything got split up. I leaned against the counter. It's part of why I worked so hard to build something of my own. Smart. A woman should always have her own security. That's what my mom always said, though she didn't follow her own advice. Devin's expression softened, false sympathy. Divorce is difficult. Devastating, actually. She trusted my dad completely. Never thought she needed to protect herself. I met his eyes. I learned from her mistakes. Good girl, he said. The praise made my stomach turn. I finished my water and said goodnight. Back in my room, I set an alarm for 1:45 a.m. and forced myself to sleep. The alarm buzzed softly against my wrist. I'd worn my smartwatch set to vibrate only. In the hallway, silence. The men had finally gone to bed. I moved like a ghost through the darkened cabin. The stairs didn't creak. Expensive construction. Devin's office door was unlocked. Inside, his laptop sat on a mahogany desk, exactly where Veronica said it would be. I powered it on. The screen glowed in the darkness, casting blue light across built-in bookshelves filled with legal texts. A password prompt appeared. I pulled out the tiny USB drive Veronica had given me. It was disguised as a charging adapter. I plugged it into the laptop's port. 30 seconds. That's all it needed. I counted. 25, 26, 27. A floorboard creaked in the hallway. My heart stopped. I yanked the drive out and shoved it in my pajama pocket. The laptop screen was still glowing. I couldn't shut it down without making noise. The door opened. Devin stood in the doorway, backlit by hallway lights. He was still fully dressed. Lost? He asked quietly. I heard a noise. Thought it might be a raccoon or something. My friend's cabin in Vermont gets them all the time. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. At 2 a.m., in my private office, the door was open. I just peeked in. My laptop just mysteriously turned on. I forced out a nervous laugh. Is it on? I didn't touch anything. Maybe it's on a timer or something? Devin moved to the desk. He touched the mouse. The screen flickered. Interesting. It doesn't normally wake itself. Maybe I bumped the desk. He studied my face in the dim light. I kept my expression confused, a little embarrassed. You should go back to bed, he finally said. The cabin's alarm system doesn't arm until 3 a.m., but the motion sensors are active. You triggered one, which is why I'm here. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. It's fine. He moved between me and the door. But I'm curious. What were you really doing up here? I told you. I heard a noise. Strange, because the motion sensor that triggered wasn't on this floor. It was the one outside my office window. Someone climbing the exterior stairs from the lower deck. My blood ran cold. What are you saying? I'm saying someone tried to access my office from outside. When that failed, they tried from inside. And the only person who doesn't belong in this cabin is you. He pulled out his phone. I'm going to show you something, he said. And then you're going to tell me exactly who sent you. The phone screen showed security camera footage. Black and white, timestamped 1:52 a.m. A figure in dark clothes climbing the exterior stairs to the office balcony. It was Veronica. This woman's been following me for months, Devin said calmly. My ex-wife. Quite unhinged, actually. And now she's recruited you. Which means Garrett's little plan hit a snag. He knew. He knew everything. I don't know what you're talking about, I said. Devin laughed. It was genuine, amused. Please. You've known about Garrett's timeline for 3 months. And instead of confronting him or leaving, you've been playing along, filing lawsuits, moving assets. Very clever. But what you didn't realize is that I've been watching you the entire time. He gestured to his laptop. Every email you sent your attorney, every document you reviewed, every transfer to those cute little family trusts. I have it all. And it paints a very different picture than the one you're trying to create. You're insane. No, I'm thorough. It's why I'm good at what I do. He moved closer. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to go back downstairs and pack your things. You're going to tell Garrett you have a family emergency and need to leave. And then you're never going to contact him, me, or anyone associated with us again. And if I don't, then I release evidence showing you've been running a malicious prosecution scheme, deliberately entrapping Garrett in a fake relationship to sue him for fraud. The cameras in your loft, which you now know about, show you discovering documents and immediately beginning a conspiracy to frame an innocent man. That's not what happened. Doesn't matter. It's what a jury will believe, especially when I show them the restraining order Veronica has against her, the psychiatric evaluations, the evidence of her harassment. You're just another pawn in a disturbed woman's vendetta. The trap was perfect. He'd anticipated everything. Garrett really cares about you, you know, Devin continued. This isn't just business for him. He fell hard, but he's got bad spending habits, bad investments. He needed financial security. I showed him how to get it. Clean, legal. Everyone walks away with something. Everyone except the women you destroy. Dramatic. They all recovered. They all moved on. Some of them are even grateful. It taught them to be more careful. Claire committed suicide. Devin's expression didn't change. Claire had pre-existing mental health issues. Not my responsibility. I thought about the USB drive in my pocket. 30 seconds wasn't enough. Veronica wouldn't get the password. This entire plan had failed. You seem to be calculating your options, Devin said. Let me simplify. Leave now, disappear quietly, and I'll make sure Garrett doesn't come after you legally. Stay, fight, make noise, and I'll destroy you in ways you can't imagine. I've done this 14 times. You're not special. 14? My voice cracked. I thought it was 6. 6 women, 14 total marks. Some of them were men, some were business partnerships, some were inheritance schemes. I'm adaptable, he smiled, and I've never lost. Outside the window, I saw movement. Veronica was still out there, watching. Get out of my office, Devin said. You have 30 minutes to leave my property. I walked past him, every muscle screaming to run. In the hallway, Garrett's door was still closed. He had no idea this conversation had happened. Back in my room, I grabbed my bag with shaking hands. The burner phone buzzed. Are you okay? He caught me. I'm leaving. Did you get it? I looked at the USB drive sitting in my palm. 30 seconds. Not enough time. No, I'm sorry. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Go to the car. We'll figure something out. I crept down the stairs. In the living room, Devin sat in an armchair facing the front door, his laptop open on his knees. Smart choice, he said without looking up. I didn't respond. I walked out into the cold mountain air and didn't stop until I reached the car Veronica had left at the base of the mountain road, a mile away. She was waiting inside. One look at my face told her everything. It's over, I said. Veronica started the car without a word. We drove in silence for 20 minutes before she pulled over at a rest stop. Tell me exactly what happened. I recounted everything. Devin's appearance, the security footage, his threats, his confession to 14 scheme. He's been following me for months, I finished. He has evidence that makes me look like the criminal. Veronica's hands gripped the steering wheel. He did the same thing to me, turned everything around so I looked like the unstable ex-wife. What did you do? I spent 4 years trying to fight him legally. Lost everything. Money, reputation, time. Finally gave up. She looked at me. Or at least, I let him think I did. What do you mean? She reached into the back seat and pulled out a laptop. When I broke into your loft to install cameras, I didn't just watch you. I used your internet connection to access Devin's cloud backup. He's paranoid about his own security, but he never thought someone would piggyback on an investigation target's network. You already have his files? Most of them. But they're encrypted with a password that changes daily. I've been trying to crack it for months. She opened the laptop. But here's what I learned tonight. Devin records everything. Every conversation. Every confrontation. It's his insurance policy. He was recording us. In his office. Exactly. Which means somewhere in his system, there's audio of him confessing to 14 schemes. To Claire's suicide, to his entire operation. Hope flickered. But we can't access the files. We can't. But I know someone who might be able to. She pulled out her phone. 4 years ago, when Devin destroyed me, he made one enemy I don't think he's aware of. His own brother. Devin has a brother, Malcolm, younger by 6 years. Devin paid him pennies to manage the cabin property while taking all the rental income. Malcolm found out, confronted him, and Devin sued him into silence with an NDA. How do you know this? Because Malcolm's wife was my therapist during my divorce. She knew what Devin had done to me. When she realized her brother-in-law was the same Devin, she broke confidentiality, off the record, to warn me about what kind of man I was dealing with. Will Malcolm help us? I don't know, but it's our only option. Malcolm Ashford lived in a modest house 3 hours from the cabin. He answered the door in paint-stained jeans and a flannel shirt, looking nothing like his brother. Veronica, he said with genuine surprise. It's been years. I need your help. Can we come in? He looked at me. Who's this? Devin's latest victim. His jaw tightened. He stepped aside. Malcolm's house was warm, cluttered with art supplies and half-finished canvases. A pottery wheel sat in the corner of his living room. I got out of real estate, he explained, seeing me look around. After what Devin did, my wife and I decided life was too short to work for assholes, even family. We sat at his kitchen table. Veronica explained everything. The scheme, the other women, what had happened tonight at the cabin. Malcolm listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. I want to help you, he finally said, but I signed an NDA. If I violate it, Devin will destroy me financially. What if there was a way to help without violating the NDA directly? Veronica asked. I'm listening. Devin's security system at the cabin. You installed it, right? 10 years ago. Why? Does he know you still have admin access? Malcolm's expression shifted. I kept it, for maintenance purposes. He never asked me to remove my access. Could you shut down the system remotely? Just for, say, 30 minutes? What are you planning? Devin records everything in that office. Every conversation, every meeting. It's all backed up to a server in the cabin's basement. If we could access that server without triggering alarms, you want me to help you break into my brother's property and steal his data. I want you to help us stop him from doing to other people what he did to you and me. Malcolm stood and walked to the window. Outside, his wife was working in a small garden despite the cold. He ruined my life, he said quietly. Took the one thing I'd built and turned it into a legal nightmare. I lost 3 years fighting him. Almost lost my marriage. I know, Veronica said. And you think this evidence will actually stop him? With your help? Yes. He turned back to us. I have conditions. First, my name stays out of this completely. Second, you have to give me evidence that protects me if Devin ever figures out I was involved. Third, whatever you find, you use it to help everyone he's hurt, not just yourselves. Agreed, Veronica said immediately. I nodded. Malcolm pulled out his phone. The security system goes into maintenance mode every Sunday at 3 a.m. It's automated. A legacy setting I built in that Devin never changed. During maintenance mode, the cameras loop previous footage and the motion sensors deactivate. Lasts exactly 45 minutes. That's tomorrow morning, I realized. Which means you have one shot at this. The server room is in the basement. Access panel behind the water heater. You'll need a screwdriver and a USB hard drive with at least 2 terabytes of storage. We have both, Veronica said. And you'll need a key to get in the basement. Devin changes the door locks every 6 months, but he's never changed the lock on the basement emergency exit. It's a fire code requirement that he ignores. The key hasn't changed in 10 years. He pulled out a keychain and removed a small brass key. This is from when I managed the property. I kept it. I don't know why. Sentiment, maybe. Or hope that someday I could use it against him. Veronica took the key. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If you get caught, I never saw you. If you succeed, I need that evidence protecting me delivered before you go to the FBI. You have my word. We left Malcolm's house with a plan and less than 12 hours to execute it. The cabin was dark when we arrived at 2:45 a.m. Veronica had rented a different car, nondescript, with mud covering the license plates. We parked a half-mile away and hiked through the woods. Devin knows my face, Veronica whispered. You have to go in alone. What if someone wakes up? They won't. I put something in the whiskey you brought. Nothing dangerous, just enough to ensure deep sleep for about 6 hours. You drugged them? Consider it karma. The emergency exit was exactly where Malcolm said it would be, hidden behind overgrown bushes on the cabin's north side. The key turned smoothly. Inside, the basement smelled like cedar and old stone. I used my phone's flashlight to navigate past boxes of old files and exercise equipment until I found the water heater. Behind it, barely visible, was a panel secured with 4 screws. My hands shook as I worked them loose. The panel came away, revealing a server rack with blinking lights and enough cables to power a small data center. Devin wasn't just backing up his files. He was running a full surveillance operation. I connected the hard drive Veronica had given me and started the transfer. The progress bar appeared. 47 minutes estimated. Too long. The maintenance window was 45 minutes. I texted Veronica. Need more time. Can't. Malcolm's window is all we have. The progress bar crawled forward. 5%. 8%. Upstairs, a toilet flushed. My heart stopped. Someone was awake. Footsteps crossed the floor directly above me, heading toward the kitchen. 13%. The footsteps stopped. A cabinet opened. Water ran. Please, just go back to bed. The water shut off. Footsteps retreated. A door closed. 21%. I checked the time. 3:22 a.m. 8 minutes left in the maintenance window. 34%. This wasn't going to work. We'd have 50-something% of the data, which might not include the critical evidence we needed. Unless, I pulled out my phone and opened the file directory on the server. Scrolled through folders until I found one labeled Audio Archive Confidential. This was what we needed. Devin's recorded conversations. I canceled the full backup and started transferring just the audio folder. Much smaller. Much faster. The progress bar jumped to 68%. 79. 86. 3:28 a.m. 2 minutes left. 93%. 98. Complete. I yanked the hard drive, screwed the panel back on, and ran. The emergency exit closed behind me with a soft click just as the security system came back online. Through the windows, I could see red lights blinking as cameras resumed normal operation. Veronica was waiting in the woods. She grabbed my arm and pulled me into a run. We didn't stop until we reached the car. Did you get it? she asked, breathless. I held up the hard drive. The audio files. All of them. She started the car and drove. We didn't speak until we were 50 miles away, pulling into a 24-hour diner. Inside a bathroom stall, Veronica connected the hard drive to her laptop. 3,416 audio files, she said, dating back 13 years. How do we find what we need? We listen. All of it. That could take weeks. Then we'd better get started. We rented a room at an extended stay hotel and began the tedious work of sorting through files. Veronica had speech-to-text software that transcribed the audio, making it searchable. By hour 3, patterns emerged. Devin labeled his files with victim names and dates. We found folders for each woman: Claire, Simone, Petra, Veronica, Angela, Catherine, Tessa, and 8 others we didn't know about. 14 total, just like Devin had said. Here, Veronica said, clicking on a file. This is dated 2 days after Claire's divorce was finalized. Devin's voice filled the room, told her she was worthless, that she'd thrown away everything for a marriage that was a lie from the start. Honestly, I didn't think she'd actually do it. But she did. And now we need to be careful. Her family's asking questions. Another voice. Garrett's. You think they'll investigate? They can try. Everything we did was legal, but we need to lay low for a year. No new marks until this blows over. My hands clenched. They knew. They knew Claire killed herself because of them, and they only cared about covering their tracks. We kept listening, found files documenting how they'd targeted each woman, how they'd researched their finances, how they'd crafted personalized approaches. One file, dated 3 years ago, made me sick. I like this one, Garrett's voice said. Tech startup, no family money, already trusts too easily based on her social media. Give me a year and she'll be perfect. They were talking about me. You sure you can handle a long con? Devin asked. 3 years is a lot of acting. I'm motivated. She's worth at least $2 million, maybe more if she has unlisted assets. That's life-changing money. Just don't actually fall for her. That's how these things go wrong. Garrett laughed. Please. I know what this is. But later files told a different story. 6 months into our relationship, a recording of Devin and Garrett arguing. You're getting attached, Devin said. I can see it. I'm not. I'm just being thorough. You bought her a dog. That wasn't part of the plan. She was sad. It helped build trust. You're rationalizing. This is exactly what I warned you about. I can separate business from feelings. I'm fine. You'd better be, because we're past the point of no return. If you back out now, I'll have to target her myself, and I don't have 3 years of groundwork. Silence. Then Garrett. I'm not backing out. I told you, I'm fine. But he didn't sound fine. He sounded conflicted. I thought about all the little moments. The way Garrett looked at me sometimes. The kindness that seemed genuine. The dog he'd bought me when my friend's pet died. Had he actually developed feelings? Or was that just wishful thinking? It doesn't matter, Veronica said, reading my expression. Whatever he felt, he still chose to go through with it. That's what matters. She was right. Remorse without action was just guilt. We spent the next 2 days organizing everything, building a timeline, creating a comprehensive case that laid out the entire operation. On the 3rd day, Veronica's phone rang. Unknown number. She put it on speaker. Veronica. Devin's voice was cold. I know you broke into my cabin. I know you have my files. I have no idea what you're talking about. Please. Malcolm's access to my security system was activated during maintenance mode. That's not a coincidence. And you're the only person who knows about my audio archive. If you're so certain, call the police. Devin laughed. The police? Yes. Let me report that my illegal surveillance files were stolen. That'll go well. What do you want? I want you to return my property. In exchange, I won't destroy the sad little life you've built. You already destroyed my life. No, I took your money. You destroyed your own life by becoming obsessed with me. But I can take more. Your therapist wife? I can file complaints about her breaking confidentiality. Get her license revoked. Your house? I can tie it up in litigation until you can't afford the mortgage. Your peace? I can make sure you never have another comfortable day. You're bluffing. Am I? Ask yourself. How many times have I bluffed in the 13 years you've been investigating me? Silence. You have 48 hours, Devin said. Return the files or I start dismantling your life. And your new friend? She's already lost. Garrett filed for a restraining order this morning. Claims she's been stalking him, making threats. The judge will grant it by Monday. The line went dead. Veronica looked at me. He's not bluffing. That's how he works. Relentless legal warfare until you give up. Then we don't wait, I said. We go to the FBI now. With what? Audio files obtained through illegal breaking and entering? They'll never be admissible. But they'll know the pattern exists. They can investigate properly. Devin's too smart. By the time the FBI gets warrants, he'll have destroyed everything. These files are our only leverage and they're legally worthless. I thought about Claire, about Petra, about all the women whose lives had been destroyed while Devin walked free because he understood how to exploit every legal loophole. What if we don't use the files legally? I said slowly. What do you mean? Devin's biggest asset is his reputation, his law practice, his network. What if we don't try to put him in prison? What if we just expose him? Make it impossible for him to continue? Public exposure? That's risky. Defamation lawsuits. Not if everything we expose is true. Not if we have proof. Veronica's eyes widened. You want to leak the files. Not leak. Release. Properly. With context and documentation. Let the court of public opinion do what the legal system can't. Devin will sue us into oblivion. Let him. Sue for what? We'll release everything anonymously. Create a website. Send copies to journalists. Make sure everyone Devin has ever worked with knows exactly what he's been doing. The other women. We'd be exposing them too. Then we get their permission first. Angela and Catherine are already willing to go public. The others might be too, if they know they're not alone. Veronica was quiet for a long time. This could work, she finally said. If we do it right, if we protect ourselves. We need a journalist, I said. Someone with credibility. Someone who can't be bullied. I know someone, Veronica said. Investigative reporter for the Tribune. She covered corporate fraud. Meticulous. Fearless. Will she listen? She'll listen to the audio files. Rachel Fontaine met us in a parking garage 3 days later. She was in her mid-50s with sharp eyes and silver hair cut in a severe bob. You have 30 minutes, she said. My editor thinks I'm following up on a city council story. Veronica handed her a USB drive. Everything's on here. Audio files, financial records, victim testimonies. 13 years of a systematic fraud operation run by a divorce attorney. Rachel plugged the drive into her laptop. I'll need time to verify. Listen to this one first, I said, pointing to a file. Recording from 3 years ago. Rachel clicked play. We listened to Devin and Garrett discussing how to target me, how to maximize the take, how to avoid prosecution. Rachel's expression didn't change, but I saw her fingers tighten on the laptop edge. And you obtained these files how? Does it matter? Veronica asked. It matters if you want me to publish. I'm not burning my career on illegally obtained evidence. The files prove a pattern, I said. 14 victims. Multiple violations. You can use this as a starting point for your own investigation. Talk to the victims. Get on-record testimonies. File FOIA requests for court records. That could take months. Then take months. But in the meantime, make enough noise that Devin can't operate. Let his clients know they're being represented by a predator. Let his colleagues know what he's been doing. Rachel was quiet, listening to more files. Finally, she looked up. I'll need to talk to the victims. On record. With documentation. We can provide that, Veronica said. And I'll need statements from both of you, including how you obtained this evidence. Anonymously. I don't work with anonymous sources for a story this big. Then we'll be named sources. But you protect us from defamation suits. I can't promise that. If Devin comes after you legally, that's separate from the publication. We know, I said. We're willing to take that risk. Rachel studied us. Why? What's worth risking everything? I thought about Claire. About the USB drive Garrett had asked for early in our relationship. The one that had probably contained stolen business data. About all the women who'd been targeted and destroyed. Because someone has to stop him, I said. And if not us, then who? Rachel closed her laptop. I'll need 2 weeks. Maybe 3. I'll run this by my editor, start contacting victims, build the case properly. Devin's already threatening us. We might not have 3 weeks. Then lawyer up. Document every threat. Build your own defense while I build the story. She stood. This is the kind of story that ends careers. Mine if I get it wrong, his if I get it right. I'm not rushing this. We left the parking garage with a commitment, but no guarantees. Over the next 2 weeks, Rachel Fontaine became a phantom in our lives. We'd get texts at random hours asking for clarifications. She'd call with questions about specific files. She tracked down 10 of the 14 victims. 4 were willing to go on record. Meanwhile, Devin made good on his threats. Garrett filed the restraining order. My bank froze accounts pending investigation of suspicious activity that Devin had flagged. My attorney called to say Devin's firm had filed a bar complaint against her for professional misconduct. Every day brought new legal attacks. Small cuts designed to bleed us dry. Veronica's wife's license was suspended pending investigation of confidentiality violations. Their mortgage company initiated foreclosure proceedings based on a claimed default that didn't exist. He's trying to break us before the story runs, Veronica said. We were in my loft, surrounded by legal documents and half-eaten takeout. Make us so desperate we have no choice but to surrender. Will it work? It worked on me last time. But not this time? She looked at me. This time I'm not alone. That night, Garrett showed up at my door. I almost didn't recognize him. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. We need to talk, he said. I should have closed the door. Should have called the police. But something in his expression stopped me. 5 minutes, I said. Then I'm calling security. He stepped inside, looked around at the loft that had been our home. Devin told me what you found, he said quietly. The audio files. The evidence. Which evidence? There's so much. All of it. He sat on the couch, head in his hands. I knew you were smart. I knew you'd probably figure it out eventually. I just didn't think it would be before the wedding. Were you ever going to tell me the truth? No. I was going to go through with it. Divorce you. Take the money. He looked up. That was the plan. Was? I can't do it anymore. I thought I could separate feelings from business, but I can't. I fell in love with you. Actually love you. And I have no idea what to do about that. You could start by not trying to rob me. I'm in too deep. Devin has dirt on me. Things I did for other cons. If I back out, he'll destroy me. Good. Garrett flinched. I deserve that. You deserve a lot more than that. I know. He stood. I came here to warn you. Devin's planning something bigger than legal threats. He knows about the journalist. He knows the story's going to run, and he's not going to let it happen quietly. What's he planning? I don't know exactly. But I heard him on the phone talking about permanent solutions and cleaning up loose ends. He sounded different, desperate. A chill ran down my spine. Are you saying he'd hurt someone? I'm saying I don't know what he's capable of anymore. I thought I did. I thought this was just about money. But there are files even you didn't find. Things he's done that go way beyond fraud. Like what? Like the reason Claire really died. Devin didn't just ruin her financially. He blackmailed her with fabricated evidence of embezzlement, threatened to send her to prison unless she gave him everything. She killed herself because she thought she had no other choice. My stomach turned. You've known this the whole time? I found out after. By then, I was already involved, already complicit. You could have gone to the police. With what evidence? Devin's too smart. He covers every track. And anyone who tries to expose him ends up destroyed. Financially, emotionally, sometimes physically. Physically? Garrett looked away. One of the victims, Angela, had a car accident 3 months after she threatened to sue him. Brakes failed. She survived. Barely. Police ruled it mechanical failure. You think Devin sabotaged her car? I don't think anything. I'm just telling you what I know. And what I know is that he's getting desperate. A story in the Tribune will ruin everything he's built. He won't go down quietly. Then what do you suggest? Disappear, both of you. Cancel the story. Destroy the evidence. Get out before this gets worse. Run away and let him keep doing this to other people? Yes, because the alternative might be dying. I'm not going to. A crash from the kitchen interrupted me. Both of us turned. The window above the sink was shattered. A brick lay among the broken glass. Wrapped around the brick was a note. Last warning. Garrett's face went pale. That's not Devin's style. He's always indirect. Always uses legal channels. Then who? I don't know, but we need to leave. Now. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Rachel Fontaine. Story runs tomorrow. Front page. Be ready. I showed Garrett the message. Then tonight's your last chance to walk away, he said. Once this goes public, there's no going back. I'm not walking away. I know. That's what I love about you. It's also what's going to get you killed. He walked to the door, paused with his hand on the knob. For what it's worth, he said. I'm sorry. I wish I'd been better. I wish I'd chosen differently. You still can. It's too late for me, but maybe not for you. Be careful. He left. I called Veronica immediately. We have a problem. The story ran the next morning. Front page of the Tribune, with a headline that made my breath catch. The marriage broker. How a divorce attorney ran a 13-year fraud ring. Rachel had done it. 5,000 words detailing everything. Devin's pattern. The victims. The audio evidence. Financial records showing suspicious divorce settlements totaling over $12 million. 4 women were quoted by name. Angela, Catherine, Veronica, and me. By noon, the story had been picked up by national outlets. By evening, the State Bar Association had opened an investigation. By midnight, the FBI had issued a statement confirming they were looking into potential wire fraud charges. Devin's law practice collapsed overnight. Clients withdrew. Partners resigned. The firm issued a statement placing him on immediate leave. Veronica called at 2 a.m. crying. We did it. We actually did it. Not yet, I said. Devin's still free. He could still run. Where would he go? His passport's been flagged. His assets are frozen. It's over. But it wasn't over. 3 days after the story ran, I got a call from an unknown number. You won, Devin's voice said. I'm impressed. I didn't think you had it in you. What do you want? To apologize. Sincerely. What I did to you and the others, it was wrong. I see that now. You're lying, probably, but I wanted you to know something. This isn't the end. It's just a pause. I've been doing this for 13 years because I'm good at it. And when the dust settles, when the media cycle moves on, I'll reinvent myself. New name, new city, new scam. You can't stop me. You can only slow me down. The FBI will find just enough evidence to make noise, but not enough to convict. I've been careful. Every settlement was legal. Every document was clean. The audio files? Inadmissible. Obtained through breaking and entering. The victim's testimonies? He said, she said. No prosecutor wants a case this messy. You're wrong. Maybe. But even if I'm convicted, I'll serve minimum security for a few years and come out with millions hidden in offshore accounts. Meanwhile, you'll spend the next decade in legal battles, looking over your shoulder, wondering if every car accident or medical emergency is me getting revenge. Is that a threat? It's a reality check. You wanted to fight me. Fine. You won the battle. But I always win the war. He hung up. I sat there, shaking, replaying his words. Veronica arrived 20 minutes later. I played her the recording I'd made of the call. He's bluffing, she said, but she didn't sound convinced. What if he's not? What if he's right? What if all we did was make him angry? Then we finish this. Properly. How? Veronica pulled out her laptop. Devin made one mistake. He assumed his offshore accounts were hidden, but Malcolm gave me something before we left. Access to Devin's personal financial software. The one he uses to track his real assets. She opened a file. Dozens of accounts, scattered across 12 countries. Detailed records of every dollar he'd ever stolen. This is everything, she said. Every hidden asset. Every shell company. Every tax haven. We give this to the FBI, they can freeze it all. He'll just hide more money. Not if we move faster. Veronica's eyes gleamed. We don't give this to the FBI. We give it to the IRS. Tax evasion is one thing they never forgive. And with this documentation, they can seize everything. Accounts, property, future earnings. They can make sure Devin never profits from any of this again. And then we make sure every police department, every law firm, every city he might try to operate in knows exactly who he is. We create a database, a permanent record, facial recognition alerts. We make it impossible for him to ever reinvent himself. That sounds insane. It sounds necessary. And so we did it. Spent 3 months building the case, filed reports with every relevant agency, created a website documenting Devin's entire operation, contacted every bar association in every state. By the time we finished, Devin Ashford was unemployable, uninsurable, legally toxic. 6 months after the story ran, he was arrested for tax evasion. Federal charges, 15 counts. His trial lasted 3 weeks. I attended every day, sitting in the gallery next to Veronica and the other women. We watched as prosecutors laid out his entire operation, how he'd stolen from 14 people, how he'd hidden millions, how he'd ruined lives without remorse. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty, all counts. Sentencing came 2 months later. Judge Miriam Rodriguez was in her 60s, with steel gray hair and no patience for excuses. Mr. Ashford, she said, looking down at him from the bench. I've been a judge for 23 years. I've seen every kind of criminal, but I've rarely seen someone so calculatedly cruel. You didn't steal out of desperation. You stole because you believed you were smarter than everyone else. You destroyed lives because it was profitable. And when confronted with your actions, you showed no remorse, only anger at being caught. Devin stood straight, expressionless. This court sentences you to 18 years in federal prison, followed by 10 years of supervised release. Additionally, you are ordered to pay restitution totaling $14.3 million to your victims. Your assets have been seized. Your law license is permanently revoked. And upon release, you will be subject to ongoing monitoring to ensure you never practice law or engage in financial advising again. The gavel fell. Devin turned as they led him away. His eyes found mine in the gallery. No anger, no threats, just emptiness. Garrett testified against him, took a plea deal for 3 years minimum security in exchange for full cooperation. He sent me a letter once, apologizing again. I never responded. The 4 women who'd gone on record, Angela, Catherine, Veronica, and I, started a foundation. We called it the Second Chances Project. It helps victims of financial abuse rebuild their lives, provides legal resources, counsels people on how to protect themselves from predatory partners. We get calls every day from people who see themselves in our story. Devin was right about one thing. There are more people like him out there, running the same scams, exploiting the same vulnerabilities, but now there are people like us too, fighting back, making noise, refusing to be silent victims. My startup money is gone, spent on legal fees and the foundation. I sold the loft to fund our first year of operations. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment now, working freelance to pay rent, but I sleep better than I did in that $1 million loft with Garrett, because I know who I am now, what I'm capable of, what I'm willing to fight for. Veronica and I still meet every week, sometimes to work on the foundation, sometimes just to remind ourselves that we survived. Malcolm sends us Christmas cards. His wife baked us cookies last year. Rachel Fontaine won a journalism award for the story. She used her prize money to fund an investigative series on financial fraud. 6 more predators have been exposed so far. And Claire, we made sure she's remembered. Not as a victim, not as a suicide statistic, but as the reason we fight. Her family helped us create a scholarship in her name for women entering finance. So far, we've helped 12 students. 3 years after Devin's sentencing, I got another call from an unknown number. My first instinct was to ignore it, but something made me answer. Hello? Is this the Second Chances Project? A woman's voice, young and frightened. Yes. How can I help you? My fiancé. I found files on his computer. Plans. Like he studied me. My finances. My vulnerabilities. And there's an attorney helping him. I think they're going to. I know, I said gently. I know exactly what they're going to do. But you're going to be okay. We're going to help you. How? Because it happened to me, and I survived. And so will you. I talked her through the next steps. How to document everything, how to protect her assets, how to find a good attorney, how to be patient and strategic. When we hung up, I sat in my small apartment and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not because the predators were gone. They're not. They'll never be gone. But because now their victims know they're not alone, know they can fight back, know they can win. And that, in the end, is everything. Devin got what he wanted. He hurt me, cost me money, changed my life. But he lost something more important. He lost his power. And I gained something he'll never understand. I gained myself back. The wedding venue sent me a bill for canceling. $15,000. I framed it and hung it in my office at the foundation. Underneath, I added a plaque. Best money never spent. Every time someone tells me they're worried about the cost of leaving a bad relationship, I show them that bill. Your peace, I tell them, is worth more than any wedding, more than any settlement, more than any amount someone tries to take from you. Some lessons cost millions. Some lessons are priceless. And some lessons, like learning you're stronger than anyone who tries to break you, are worth every penny.